Michael Morales Torres para Lucha Libre Online con Isa Ramos, la marca número 1 de Pro Wrestling y Combat Sports en el mundo. Mi invitado especial, el director de autoridad de Impact Wrestling, señoras y señores, Santino Marella, el mio caro amigo, llega acá a Lucha Libre Online. Santino, it is a huge honor for us to have you here as our guest. How are you doing today?
Oh, amazing, man. Life is good.
Glad to know you're doing well, sir. Isa will have the first question. So, Isa, let's go.
We saw you debut an Impact again on Hard to Kill. And I just wanted to know, what was the decision, the thought process that made you return to Impact specifically?
Well, a lot of it has to do with my home life. You know, I have small children at home, a 1-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son. And yeah, I really was hesitant to get back out on the road. And you know, this schedule, it keeps me home a lot with my small kids, and it's a great locker room. I've you know, I was a guest and I did some cameos over the last few years, so I know what the vibe is there, and it was attractive, and it's nice to be out there again, especially as Santino Marella, the real genuine article.
Correct. And how did that moment feel, walking out there, making your debut? You know, the new director of authority. How did it feel coming out there back in front of the Impact fans? Yeah,
coming in front of the fan. I mean, you know, I've been doing appearances here and there throughout the last few years. So being in front of a live audience wasn't anything spectacular. But the fun part was when I introduced myself and I was able to say Santino Marella, and I think the audience was more shocked that I used Santino Marella than just seeing me in general. I think that was a lot of the talk, was like, you know, how is he using his name? He has the rights, and I think people were really happy that I was able to use that name.
Yeah, honestly, we were all shocked. I was very happily surprised when I saw it. It brought me a lot of joy. But what I was even more shocked about is that you introduced yourself also as the new director of authority, the DOA of Impact. So, of course, I had to ask, what can we expect of your new role in Impact Wrestling as the director of authority?
Well, I just, you know, I have to make sure that the rules apply to everybody. And it's going to be a learning curve. You know, Santino sometimes makes some mistakes. Maybe it's lost in translation, or maybe, you know, he's a little rough around the edges sometimes. So it's going to be a learning curve for him. And it's just going to be funny along the way.
Santino,
it certainly is.
I have a question. You have an incredible women's division or knockouts division in your power right now. What are your thoughts on that knockouts division? You know, Mickie James is you know, the centerpiece of it with the knockouts title, but we have Jordynne Grace, and there are a lot of talented gals as well in that division. What are your thoughts as the director of authority?
Yeah, so the women's division, the knockouts division, there's a lot of pride in that locker room. They know that they are, you know, among the best women's locker room in the world. And they just love to show their skills. You know, they'd love to show off. They're confident. They support each other. It's a really very positive locker room.
If you allow me, I'm going to say something in Spanish. Este próximo 24 y 25 de febrero, February 24th and 25th, Impact Wrestling va a estar regresando. ¿A dónde, gente? A Sam's Town en Las Vegas, Nevada, para No Surrender, viernes 24, sábado 25 de febrero. Santino Marella va a estar allí presente para Meet and Greet también. Boletos a la venta ahora mismo, disponible en Ticketmaster. Lo que tienen que hacer es clic acá abajo y los va a llevar directamente a Ticketmaster, pero 24 y 25 de febrero Impact regresa a Sam's Town en Las Vegas, Nevada, con No Surrender, así que no se lo pueden perder por nada del mundo. Están haciendo un trabajo excelente, así que échenle el ojo. Y de igual manera tienen un Season Pass enorme para Chicago en el 2023. Ellos van a tener varios shows allí, van a tener el Spring Slugfest, van a tener también Chicago Heat, van a tener Bound for Glory. El primero es el Spring Slugfest el 28 y 29 de abril. Chicago Heat sería ya 28 y 29 de octubre, y cierran con broche de oro con Bound for Glory 21 y 22 de octubre. Y hay un pass, los puedes conseguir los tres en un solo lugar, Ticketmaster. Simplemente hagan clic, o en este caso, discúlpenme, no, Eventbrite. En el caso del Season Pass es en Eventbrite o impactwrestling.com, por Eventbrite hacen clic aquí abajo y pueden adquirir los tres. And I was saying that, like, Santino, Chicago for Impact Wrestling is going to be huge this year. You're not going to have one big event. It's not two big events. There are three huge events over there. So what can the director of authority say about Impact returning to Chicago?
Yeah, Chicago has a rich wrestling history, and I live in Toronto. Toronto and Chicago, they're like cousins, you know, very similar, very multicultural, both on the lake, big cities, a lot of good food. So I'm always very comfortable going to Chicago. But yeah, I think there's 4 big events, and you can actually get one season pass. It's going to allow you to go to all the events. So, you know, you'll be saving quite a bit of money, and you'll be catching all the action.
Now that sounds like a lot of events, and that's probably going to be a lot of work for you as the director of authority. Are you looking to maybe hire or bring in any assistants to help you keep track of things staying in place at Impact?
You know, that's a very good idea. I need someone to help me with my organization. So, why are you looking for a new job?
I'm gonna have to send you my resume. I will. I'll make sure to send it right after the interview, just in case, you know. A completely off subject, but why did you cancel the elephants during your entrance? I would have liked to see the elephants.
Oh my God, that's so funny. I thought it was a funny joke, but my daughter, she was normally you're so funny, but the elephant's joke was not funny. But then I have other people that are friends, like comedians, and they're messaging me saying the elephant joke was funny. Anyway, but it was you know, they were making a mess in the loading dock anyway, so we had to send them back.
maybe the elephants would have not gone along with the cobra.
Yeah, the elephants don't like snakes, right?
Talk to me a little bit about the infamous cobra. That, you know, that move is so known and so beloved by most wrestling fans.
Well, it's funny. So, gosh, years ago, probably in 2004, I lived in Japan for the whole year, trying to figure out how to become a professional wrestler, you know. And somebody in a bar, they showed me this move, which he just transformed his hand into a little puppet. And years later, I believe I was in Atlanta, and I just came back into my head, and I just tried it during my comeback, and the people immediately laughed, and the Cobra was born, you know. And then we introduced, you know, putting on the sleeve, and it's very popular, you know. Like I didn't realize how popular it was, but some guys, when they play football, they score a touchdown, they do the Cobra. Baseball, I've seen guys like to rally the batter up, you know, they all do the Cobra. Basketball, I've seen it everywhere. And in fact, I had a signing one time, and this kid told me that in his elementary school, they had to ban the Cobra for the kids were not allowed because every kid was doing it. So it goes to show you that you can never tell what's going to catch on, you know. But the Cobra, yeah, people love the Cobra. It's funny.
Santino, as the director of authority, you have access to certain information and certain power that not many of us have. Among of those is the Hall of Fame of Impact Wrestling. Obviously, you have, you know, voting power and everything inside the company now. And there's a name that's been stated by multiple people as someone that should be inducted into the Impact Wrestling Hall of Fame this year. And I'm talking about Don West. He unfortunately passed away, but he, you know, his career, he dedicated his life to this company. What are your thoughts on, you know, first of all, Don West? You had the opportunity to meet him before, and you think he should be in the Hall of Fame of Impact Wrestling?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he'll be in the Hall of Fame very soon. You know, when somebody passes away, because we have social media, people make comments, right? And somebody might just say, "Oh, rest in peace, he was nice." But then sometimes with some people really take the time to express how special a person was and how genuinely kind they were and the impact that they really made on an individual. And you can just tell by the response that Don West was beloved by many, just by the way they responded and the messages they put out there. So I think his character, you know, his legacy speaks for itself, and I imagine he'll be part of the Hall of Fame shortly.
Yeah,
Really hope so.
I I love seeing all the positive messages that went out when that happened. In addition to the Hall of Fame information that you might have, I was wondering if you have any concerns about some of the people in the active roster not following, your rules. Who do you have your eye on right now as far as people that you need to keep, to keep track of?
Yeah, obviously Bully Ray, he's a hothead, and he's not going to get away with being a jerk. I don't want to have to fire somebody, right? But I mean, he's a concern. I'll leave it at that. He's a concern.
I definitely think you should incorporate the Cobra into firing. Like, I think that could become a thing.
Yeah, okay. You're good. You're a good assistant already.
Thank you.
Santino, before we go to our last question, man, I wanted to thank you so much for your time, and Ross as well, and the Impact Wrestling team for making this possible. Your career took you to many places. One of those was recently in Puerto Rico. You had the opportunity to perform in this beloved island a couple times. Impact Wrestling has been here, but it was, it's been a long time since that. Impact already went to Mexico during a couple years back. As the director of authority, is Impact Wrestling exploring the option of maybe visiting Latin America again? That situation was stopped due to the pandemic, but fortunately now things have changed. Is visiting either Mexico, Puerto Rico, or Latin America in general an option?
It's always an option. I would love to go back on the road and do these different locations. Do an Impact live from Japan, or not live, but from Japan, Puerto Rico, Mexico, England. I mean, as we continue to grow globally, I think the potential to put on shows all over the world is always there. I want to go to Puerto Rico just because I always have a good time. I'll stay a couple extra days, sit in the sun, and have a mojito.
The good drinks, the good island.
Oh,
and
what's the sandwich? The tres pletas?
La
Tripleta.
tripleta. Let's go. Now you're speaking our language.
Santino Marella, the man of the Cobra, the director of authority of Impact Wrestling. Again, thank you so much for this time and for the opportunity. And to our fans, let's remind them, 24th and 25th of February, Impact Wrestling returns to Sam's Town in Las Vegas, Nevada, o regresan a Sam's Town en Las Vegas, Nevada. Boletos a la venta ahora mismo en Ticketmaster.com. Y nos despedimos y cerramos la Demon Diva Michael Morales Torres y el hombre de la Cobra, Santino Marella, para Lucha Libre Online, la marca número 1 de Pro Wrestling y Combat Sports en el mundo. Y como diría Hugo, porque en español nadie lo hace mejor. Nos despedimos, nos fuimos. Bye bye.
Adiós.
Wait, you were gonna say something before we cut it off, and let's say it again in Spanish.
Gracias por todo.
That's beautiful.